How to control your own bias. What's up guys, it's Otaru here and this is the part 2 of Thinking Fast and Slow. In the previous video, I have shared with you guys how decision makings are biased due to our brain structure, the list of biases that we are prone to and how we can use it to our advantage. Before moving on, if you haven't watched the first part, click on the card shown here before watching this video as I will not be repeating what I've discussed in part 1. Alright, then for this video, contrary to the previous one which I've shared on how to exploit biases, I will also touch on how you can control yourself should you be exploited for those biases. If you are watching this channel and have not subscribed to this channel yet, just click on the red button down below that says subscribe and you're good to go. Alright, then let's start with the first one. So our system 1 makes judgments intuitively and these cause us to have biases and exaggerations in our decision makings. But of course, there are many occasions in which we can trust those spontaneous judgments, right? Then how do we distinguish when and when not to trust those judgments? The book states that there are 2 conditions for which you can trust them. First, an environment that is sufficiently regular to be predictable. 2, an opportunity to learn these regularities through prolonged practice. This is true for sports such as chess, which is environment, the chessboard and chess pieces are always the same. With this, you could practice moves and understand patterns to come up with various strategies. Hence in this case, intuitions for chess could be a trained skill from years of experience. That is why master chess players can draw moves within seconds without hesitations. Those are not gamble moves, but are selected from tons of memories saved in his brain. Therefore, situations in which 2 conditions are not met, the book states that it would be a gamble. For example, forecasts of future economic situation for mutual fund and stock repurchasing would be almost impossible because of its super complexity. I mean, who would have thought of a pandemic hitting us and creating an economic and societal chaos? Anyway, then now the question is, if you are working in an industry that doesn't meet these 2 proposed conditions, what can you do? Is there in any way that your judgment's accuracy can be improved? There are 2 ways, in which one is based on mathematics and the other one is not. First one is to form a formula. Write down around 6 factors which could affect your judgment and put an appropriate weight for each of them. Each factor is then allocated with a range of score. You can perhaps do it like from 0 to 10, which 0 being very bad and 10 being excellent. From this, you can deduce the final score by adding all the scores from each of the factors. And according to whatever boundary score you set, you can categorize it as pass or fail. The scoring can be done instinctively, but what's more important is to strictly follow this formula because the whole point of this is to reduce your biases. If you do not know the appropriate weight for each of the factors, just put an equal weight for each of them. Doing this will be much more accurate than your experience. Then the second one, which is definitely more attractive for those who are allergic to numbers. It's called Premortem. Imagine you and a group of individuals in a meeting. You are there with others to have a final discussion on the project you are going to carry out. Now you ask them, imagine that now you are 1 year into the future and have implemented the plan that now exists. The outcome was a complete disaster. Please take 5 to 10 minutes to write down the brief history of that disaster. By asking your team to imagine this scenario, your team will be able to do the following. 1. Able to legitimize doubts. 2. Be able to put focus on the right direction, such as for the contingency plan for when the project is going down south. 3. Supporters of the decision will also try to find possible threats not considered earlier. I think Premortem is very useful and is less troublesome as compared to formulating equations. Then now, let's discuss something different. You are having a meeting with this potential client and you would like him to sign a partnership deal with your company. In this situation, just think, how will he be convinced by you? The book states that the key is to put your numbers on the table first. By setting the standard first during the negotiation, you will be likely that the final decision made would be inclined to your favor. Even if the number you put forth is not a certain number, it will still create a benchmark in their heads. This is called an anchoring effect. People consider a particular value in decisions for things which they are not fully certain about. It sounds obvious, but we often fail to utilize this knowledge. This does not have to be necessarily numbers, but could also be a certain set of conditions. Then if the situation is the opposite, how would you counter this effect? The key stated in the book is to come up with a new number and anchor it on the table. By anchoring a new number on the table, you will reduce the influence you have from the previous number presented, and slowly negotiate using your calculative system too to prove why your number yields more benefits for both parties. In addition to this, the book had stated more regarding negotiation. It has introduced this term called Endowment Effect. Many of the hardworking people watching my channel might already know this, but this refers to a response in which a loss is stronger than a corresponding gain. This is why people, despite their financial comforts, become hesitant to donate money. The effect of a loss is a psychologically painful thing, and this psychological system is super useful in a situation in which a person is required to give a quick answer of yes or no during a negotiation. As our brain prioritizes the thinking of how could I not lose instead of how much could I gain, a quick response will likely lead you to receive a favorable answer. This is because your system 2 is lazy to take part in a quick thinking process. The lazy system 2 is also a reason why you encounter awkward situations such as this. Come on man, now I don't feel like eating anymore. You just ruined the whole experience. Let's say this was when you were with a friend who was eating an ice cream and you said something that made him feel disgusted. Don't you feel something's off? I mean, it's really interesting because technically whatever you have said which made your friend uncomfortable didn't spoil the whole experience of ice cream. It was only the end of it. This is because we have two of our own selves. One is called an experiencing self and the other is called a remembering self. This occurs because our brain finds it difficult to distinguish memories from experience. So in this situation, the experiencing self fully enjoyed the ice cream, but your remembering self only saved the memory of the tragic incident that made the end of ice cream experience bad. Hence the book referred it to as a focusing illusion. The remembering self has neglected the rest of the experience of having the ice cream and only focused on storing the end of the ice cream experience. But you know what the interesting thing is? When you actually try to recall the whole experience of that ice cream, like if you try really hard, you will be able to recall that nice sweet taste, and that's how you can overcome this bias effect. We tend to just focus on the negative thoughts as that is the first thing to pop up in our heads. But by focusing on positivity, and you'll be able to override the negativity with your positive memory. By doing this, it will also allow you to retrieve small details of events that make you happy. In here, I'll explain it using ice cream, but this could be about completely different thing as well. So these are pretty much everything for this video. I'm planning to upload another part as a separate video which is related to the subject of economics. I'll be talking about how economics students are thought with irrational thoughts and other points on which I found interesting to share. This book contains just so much and it will be a waste if I don't share it. By the way, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe by clicking on the red button down below, and it would be great if you could also recommend it to your family, friends, teachers, your dog, cat, fish, and an interesting person you are planning to go on a date since the lockdown's lifted. I can't wait to share more with you guys soon. Cheers!